back to the Punk Rock Horror Podcast, episode number 41. I'm Matt.
I'm Cody.
And
41.
41. And today we're here to remind you that BuzzFeed probably isn't the most credible news source ever.
I never agreed to that.
Do you really think it is?
No.
It was like, come on. We all know BuzzFeed's terrible.
Everything's terrible.
It's like the Fox News of, like, left wings.
That's true.
It really is.
It is.
Like, people always think it's like CNN. Nah, it's BuzzFeed. It's totally BuzzFeed.
It's BuzzFeed.
You suck, BuzzFeed. Like, and I do have to, like, call myself out because I am slightly hypocritical because I used to be on that BuzzFeed train way back in the day.
I know.
And then...
I know.
I call myself out. And then, like, they started coming out with, like, more ridiculous, like, articles about, like, things that were definitely, like, geared towards negative attention towards a male population.
Yeah.
And then I was just like, okay, now it's getting kind of dumb. Because at first I was like, okay, I agree with the whole, like, article of, like, you know, people wearing, like, native clothing as, like, costumes, like, the sexy, like, native, like, chief and whatnot. Like, I'm like, okay, that is pretty disrespectful, and I get that. But then when they're just, like, man-spreading is hurting women. Like, why do you have to man-spread? Like, it's not that hard to walk around with balls. And I'm like, since when did this become a fucking big deal? Like, why do you give a shit?
Well, like, the funny thing with the whole, like, mansplaining, manspreading thing.
Yeah.
Like, it's just changing the name. We talked about this before. It's just changing the name of, oh my God, I can't believe I'm blanking on the word right now. Because it's just like they're saying that men just talk down to women all the time and stuff like that.
Right.
But it's like everyone does it.
Yeah, like...
Everyone. You know how many women have talked down to me about things?
Hell yeah. Are you kidding me?
Like, it's like, and I don't call them out. I was like, why are you women spreading? I'm just like...
Oh, when I even, like, have to talk to someone, like, explain a situation to them, like, they'll get super annoyed and be like, you know, you don't have to treat me like I'm dumb. And I'm like, I'm not treating you like you're dumb. Like, this is how I understand it. And so this is how I'm explaining it to you because this is how I understand it. Mm-hmm. Like, this isn't me being like, well, here's just... Like, what are you talking about? Like, I just hate that whole... I'm not saying, like, it doesn't exist, but it isn't just on men. Women are just as bad.
Everyone's just as bad.
We're all terrible.
We're all terrible people.
We're all terrible people in a terrible world.
Yeah.
Except for, like, dogs and cats and stuff.
Yeah.
They're alright.
I mean, cats are assholes.
But they get a pass. They at least own it. Unlike someone in the White House. Oh! We're talking about the dog in the White House. We're not talking about the president.
Who's the president? What's
a president?
Yeah.
What's Christmas? What's a White House?
What is government?
So we're now coming back from our live recording that we did at the Life of the Party. Thank you to Brandon and Marsha again for
thank you guys so much.
Yeah, for setting us up. So it was a fun day, and he also bought us a beer afterwards, and that was nice.
Yeah.
So excuse me. Yeah, and kudos to you again for, like, taking the reins in that first episode.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, I noticed you were so nervous about it. You're like, okay,
I didn't
get it.
I didn't even mean to get, like, I don't know. I think it's like what I said is that I'm so used to just, like, me and you just recording around a table.
Yeah.
And then, like, there's, like, all this, like, motion going on in the background. Like, you know, people shopping and, like, you know, checking in on the podcast, asking, you know, about it and, like, wanting to share the horror stories and, like, it was just, it threw me off. It took me a minute to get into my skin.
Yeah.
Like, I was talking to one of our friends about it, and he's like, oh, you can tell you're nervous. And I'm like, well, yeah, I know, but...
You don't have to point it out.
Like, but he also made the point, he's like, but to be fair, I've known you for a long time, so, to, like, people who don't know you, like, listeners who don't know you, they might not know as well. I don't know. Listeners, if you could tell I was nervous, feel free to shout out and be like, yeah, we can tell you were all nervous.
They're all going to say that, mostly because you kept pointing it out.
I know, that was the biggest flaw in that. I was like, I'm not nervous, but I'm totally nervous. But I'm really not nervous, but I so am. I think I just peed a little. So, but no, it was fun. I enjoyed it. I also loved, like, that, what I think it was, like, Butch and Zelma, the elderly couple that sat down with us.
Oh, yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was really dope. I was like, see, horror even just goes through generations.
And David? Was that his name?
Yeah, David.
That was really cool. I actually liked his input with the mermaids and everything.
Yeah,
that actually, I think, felt like that helped out a lot.
Yeah, that was just really rad. Like, I'm just glad we just had someone who just wanted to sit down and talk about it with us.
Yeah, and same with Mel. Thank you for sitting down with us with the vampire episode.
Thank you, Mel. That was fun.
She was all dressed up like a vampire.
I know. I wish we got a picture with her. I feel so bad that we didn't.
I know, we were planning on it, and then I think she left in the middle of recording our second episode.
We were on a time crunch that day. Is like, I think we started a little late, and then ended like a little late as well with everything, and then what else? There was something else that happened in between, because when we started the second recording, like, we weren't able to find her in time, and so
that's right.
We just had to like just start and just go.
Yeah.
So. But I know Brandon got a picture of her with us, and so like he actually got me like she actually like took the picture while I was like, I was talking. Like, he got me like right when I was in the middle of talking about something. I don't even know what it was. Maybe I was talking about like how nervous I was, and I felt like that was more important.
Probably you're just like, I need to let you know I'm nervous instead of posing for this picture. I think I was just kind of sitting there like, hey.
Hey. Also want to give a shout out to all of our recent followers on Twitter. So we're now over at like a little over 400 followers on our Twitter. So
nice.
Thank you to all of our Twitter followers on there. Thank you, everyone. And also all our recent followers on Facebook as well.
We started getting a lot of likes and followers recently.
I guess we're a lot cooler than we think we are.
Yeah.
Or maybe we're just embarrassing and people like laughing. Whatever, man. I mean, people are tuning in. I don't care.
Yeah.
And then thank you to everyone who's like been following me on Instagram. I'm still a little weird on that. I started getting into this like habit where I'm just like, I don't even know what I'm supposed to post. So I'm like, I'm drinking coffee again today.
It's anything and everything.
Like, when I feel so bad because I'm just like every other day, like I just want to post a picture. I'm like, hey, it's Wednesday and I'm drinking coffee again. You know, Wednesday sucks. And I'm just like, God, I'm fucking lame. I'm trying to figure out like what to do, and then like I think about it and I'm just like, man, those Instagram models have it like, it's a lot harder work for them because they have to keep up a certain image, but it's a lot easier in the sense that they can just kind of keep posting selfies and it's still fresh enough. Where if I keep posting a selfie of me every day, like everyone's gonna be like, okay, we don't need to keep seeing the same mug.
It's like, actually it'd be like, if you watch throughout the week, you can see him get more haggard every day.
Yeah.
And then he refreshes on Monday.
Exactly. It's like, you could use me as your calendar. Use my face. I'm just like, man, why can't I be a hot chick? It's like all those Instagram models have it so much easier in that sense.
Yeah. They just have to show some cleavage and they're good.
I know. Like, or even just...
I mean, you can show cleavage. You just like, squish your chest together. Like, check this out.
Yeah.
Did I ever tell you that story that I did? What I did in I think it was like my sophomore year of college. And so me and my old roommate, we were having this house party, and one of our mutual friends, she came over and she was telling me how like there's this kid that was like harassing her and stuff like that. Like he kept trying to get her to send him tit pics and stuff. And she didn't want to. She was like, I don't want to send you. I was like, hold on. Give me your phone. She's like, what? I was like, give me your phone. And so me and her went to like how my old apartment was that like there's this big ass mirror, the sinks, and then the bathroom with like the tub and the toilet. Like it was like half. Right. I guess half bath technically. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyways, but there's that, and then there was the sinks with the mirror that was like outside of the bathroom. And so me and her like I was like, okay, hold on, and I like squished my chest together. So and like if you go up closer, it actually looks like boobs. So I sent him a picture of my cleavage, and he was like, "Oh yeah, that's hot. I want to see more." And so like, and then I just pulled the phone out a little bit further, so it looked like more cleavage. And he's like, "Yeah, can I see them all?" And then I had her take a picture of me shirtless doing the pose, and she never heard from him again.
It worked out well. Mm-hmm. See, like, that, like, I think it's more okay when, like, a friend does it for a friend. Mm-hmm. Because that makes me think of, like, that photo of, like, that dad who put on a bra and he's, like, holding, like, his Glock. Oh, yeah. Like, you know that one? Because, like, I guess the boyfriend was wanting, like, a pic of, like, his girlfriend in her bra.
Mm-hmm.
So the dad found the text and they, like, put on one of his, like, daughter's bras, I guess, or something. And then, like, was holding a Glock and sent a picture of that to the boyfriend.
Yeah.
And, like, initially, like, that's funny. But then I really thought about it. I'm like, that's some pretty fucking creepy shit. Like, that's far less more intimidating and scary as more as it's just creepy and kind of gross. So I think it's okay when it's like a friend does it for a friend, but when a dad does it for her, like his kid, that's weird. Like, that's weird. Like Jim, why are you sending pictures of yourself in women's lingerie to other boys?
He's trying to protect his daughter.
He's doing it in the most creepy way possible. I mean, and maybe that's his point, is that he wants to be creepy, but I don't know. I always thought that was weird. I'm just like...
I'd do it.
I'm like, why not just... But at that point, why not just send a picture of yourself with a shirt on holding the gun?
No. Has to be the whole... Because he's See, what he should have done was take the picture up close of, like, him, like, his boobs in the bra.
Yeah.
And then take the further out picture when the kid was like, yeah, I want to see more.
It's just so weird.
I
was just like, because the dude's all like hairy and I'm like, ugh, gross. I'm like, I mean, not that we want to see your daughter, but ew, gross.
Now you're taking it to a weird spot.
It was already weird.
You know you'd do it for Aaron.
I would probably do something like far more gruesome that like I think would come off as funny, but would be more taken as fucked up. Like, I would probably grab Aaron and be like, hey, let's go into the backyard. I got some fake blood. Let's put, like, a fake, like, fence going through your body. And then let's just send that to them. It'll be hilarious. And in the moment, I would think that's funny. And then, like, later on in the night, the police would come to my door and be like, sir, where's your daughter? Like, oh, did he get the pic? What was his face? It was hilarious, right? He was like, oh my god, right? It was hilarious. Like, that's probably how I would react, more than likely. So, I guess the bra thing is probably better than that situation.
I would just send a picture of myself in my gorilla onesie. Does this do it for you, big boy?
Amy, sad.
Like, do you have any bananas?
Oh, man. That's what we're talking about today is gorillas.
No.
No, we're not talking about that.
We're actually talking about werewolves for our monster of the day.
Yeah, you listeners have voted, and you've chosen what two monsters you want us to talk about now. And with the staggering votes that we have gathered, we found out that you guys really want to hear more about werewolves and zombies.
Or
zombies, if,
Zombies are more Canadian zombies.
Hey, syrup, eh?
He's over there in that zombie.
To any of our Canadian listeners, we hope you have a good sense of humor. Because that was a terrible joke. And not like terrible as offensive as that, it just wasn't funny. It just wasn't funny.
I mean, I thought it was funny.
But yeah, zombies won by 29% and werewolves won by 43%. And funny enough, demons and monster slayers actually was tied. And no one gave a shit about shapeshifters.
I wonder why.
So no one liked that one. Although I do want to say that there was one comment that was left on there from a person named Sammy. I won't say his last name or her last name because I want to protect their privacy. But they said skeletons though. And so I'm not sure what to take from that, except maybe they wanted skeletons to be a choice. So.
But what?
I don't know.
The only monster skeleton I could ever think of is just fucking from Scary Movie 2.
Well, no. There's Army of Darkness, where they're like the skeleton with the little pan flute. That's his bone.
I'm sticking with Scary Movie 2, okay?
I don't know. Look, I'm not going to critique the listener's comment because the fact of the matter is that our humor is already kind of fucked up and weird as is.
Yeah, that's true.
So
I mean, that would be a challenge. Like the mermaid one was pretty challenge, but I don't know. I just don't see skeletons.
Like, but I could also I'm wondering if they also kind of meant like something more as to the Japanese folklore. It's an actual like giant skeleton monster that where the whole like urban legend is. I think it's like if you're if like you're getting like goosebumps or like something like that. I think it's like either if you're getting goosebumps or if you're getting an eye twitch, this like giant skeleton monster is nearby and is going to come and eat you. Like, I'm not making this up. This is, like, an actual, like, Japanese folklore. Like, I probably just butchered it, but, like, that's actual, like, folklore. Again, but this is, like, the same, like, country that has their version of a mermaid, which is, like, a woman's face on a snake's body. So,
that's true.
That's what we're working with here. So...
And for all you listeners, I'm wondering who actually likes candy corn, because it is disgusting.
We're doing a poll. See, so here's the thing. So the reason I'm bringing this up is that I hate candy corn. Cody hates candy corn. It's like barely above of like terrible taste, barely above like black licorice. Like, like it's just awful. And so, like my wife, she loves candy corn. And so we constantly get in this argument with her where she's like, candy corn's just part of Halloween. I'm like, it really shouldn't be because it tastes like earwax. You
know what's the only good candy corn? It's the one that Sour Patch Kids made.
I didn't know they made one.
Yeah, because it's Sour Patch.
Oh, okay. So basically, listeners,
not wax.
Let us know if you like candy corn or not. Maybe you can end this argument. Is candy corn a mainstay of Halloween or should it just be taken out entirely? So
I think it should be taken out. It doesn't even look like corn.
I'm fully over it because, like, when me and Lauren were first getting to know each other, like, we actually, like, years ago, like, we actually used to work together and that's how we met, right? Yeah. And so, like, we were taking break one night and, like, I was extremely hungry. And so, like, you know me, Cody, when I'm hungry, like, you don't fuck with my food because I get super pissy and I get super aggro and I get very, very rude. And I don't mean to be. But it's just, like, it's my fucking food, right? And so, like, I got this cheeseburger from, I don't remember where, but I was just fucking hungry. I was ready to dive into it. And then, like, as I took a bite into it, like, I thought, like, the meat wasn't cooked right or something. I looked up, and, like, fucking Lauren put, like, candy corn in my cheeseburger. And I was so pissed. Like, instantly. Because I told her, I was like, I fucking hate candy corn. It's just such a bad taste. And she put it in my cheeseburger and ruined my meal. And I was so mad. Like, I think, like, I walked away.
I'm surprised you two got married now.
And I appreciated her gusto with that. It was a real ballsy move she made. Like, so, I respected it. Because two things would have happened. I would have either gotten really pissed and yelled at her, or I would have laughed at it. And somehow it landed in the gray area. Where I didn't yell and get pissed, but I was pissed, so I kind of just, like, went into a corner and, like, calmed down and, like, watched, like, Netflix on my phone. And then she's like, why are you so mad? And I'm just like, hey, I wonder how breakable that window is.
Let's use Lauren as an example.
Why are you so mad? So, yeah, but that's how we met. That's how she won me over. So, jumping into it. Let's talk about werewolves, Cody.
Werewolves.
So,
Wolves of the Were.
Wolves of the Were. So we decided to do a little more research on this one just because during our live recordings we didn't have as much time to go into much folklore as we wanted to. Just because we were working on Life of the Party's hours. And so we want to do these up a little more right, especially since you listeners chose these monsters. So we're going to be going into a lot of lore. So bear with us, everyone. In folklore, a werewolf, or occasionally lycanthrope, is a human with the ability to shapeshift into a wolf. I lost my place already. Sorry.
Or especially in modern film, therianthropic hybrid wolf-like creature, either purposely or after being placed under a curse or affliction, often a bite or scratch, from another werewolf. Early sources for belief in this ability or affliction called lycanthropy. I want to read it. This was my...
We're so cute when we say the same thing at the same time.
I hate my life.
Like, OMG, for real.
The werewolf is a widespread concept in European folklore, existing in many variants, which are related to by a common development of a Christian interpretation of undying European folklore. Hold on. Of undying European folklore. Yeah, I was right. Developed during the medieval period. From the early modern period where werewolf beliefs are also spread to the New World with colonialism. Belief in werewolves developed in parallel to the belief in witches. I I did not know that.
Oh, it's going to get more crazy.
In the course of the late Middle Ages and the early modern period, like witchcraft trials as a whole, the trial of supposed werewolves emerged in what is now Switzerland, especially the Valais and Vaud.
I think it's
Valais. In the early 15th century and spread throughout Europe in the 16th, peaking in the 17th and subsidizing by the... Could you stop?
Sorry.
By the 18th century.
The persecution of werewolves and the associated folklore is an integral part of the witch hunt phenomena. Albeit a marginal one, accusations of lycanthropy began being involved in only a small fraction of witchcraft trials. During the early period, accusations of lycanthropy transformation into a wolf were mixed in with accusations of wolf riding or wolf charming. The case of Peter Stump in 1589 led to a significant peak in both interest in and persecution of supposed werewolves. Primarily in French-speaking and German-speaking Europe, the phenomena persisted longest in Bavaria and Austria, with persecution of wolf charmers recorded until well after 1650. The final cases taking place in the early 18th century in Carinthia and Styria.
Okay, if someone came up to me and like, "You're a fucking wolf rider," I'm like, "Damn right, come here, Fluffy," and like ride off with on a wolf, I'd be like, why would you want to kill that person? That'd be dope. That you think
we could use them in our army?
Exactly, you think that like that would be the coolest thing ever. Like, hey, what do you do? And like, you know, just like you like see like this hot young thing over here, and you're like, "How you doing, girl?" And she's like, "Oh, get away from me, weirdo." I was like, "No, you want to see a cool trick?" Fluffy! Like this giant wolf just like runs over and just sits next to you. He's like, "How's it going, Bob?"
Can you just imagine that? Like if it was a military thing, like and they bring in the new recruits to be like, "All right, so we have your gunmen right here. Say hi, gunmen. Hi. Here's your rangers. Here's your medics. Here's your intel. Who's that guy? Oh, that's Dave. He's part of the canine unit. Hey, Dave, come over here." And then, like, Dave gets on all fours and starts running towards you. Yeah. It's like, "Don't worry, he's super kind. He's real nice." He starts licking, like, the new recruit's hand.
Here, just give him a treat. Give him a treat, and you'll be fine.
Dave, who's a good Dave? Who's a good Dave? Like, before we continue, though, I do kind of... So, I did all this research myself, and I wanted to make this a point, is that I do disagree with a little bit of this, is that in my opinion, a common misconception is that lycanthropy and lycanthropes is really associated with werewolves, when really werewolves are a root of lycanthropy, and lycanthropy can be like anything from were-rabbit to were-mice. Like, that's really goofy, and I get it, but it's true.
Don't ruin this for me.
Like, but to be fair, throughout history, werewolves have been the most mainstay of lycanthropes.
Yeah.
I mean, because the case can be because the case can be made for any animal. Like I said, you can have were-mice. Like there was even a comic book that like I read once. I forget what it was called, but it was focused on like vampires and werewolves. It was kind of like True Blood, but in comic form, but not True Blood. And, like, they actually had, like, multiple lycanthropes within the comic, and one of them was were-mice, or, like, were-rats. Like, it was actual, like...
So a dude turned into a rat?
Yep, I'm serious. Like, I'm not making this up. This is an actual thing.
Wouldn't that suck, though? Like, you know, you're, like, someone's dream. Like, here's Jeff, and his biggest dream is, like, I want to be a werewolf. Like, and this was, like, in reality, it's, like, they could actually happen. He's like... And then, like, full moon starting to come. He's like, "Oh, my God, it's happening. The trash is squeak."
Well, what's funny is because, like, in the comic, like, they make... So, you know how a werewolf is just, like, big, muscular, kind of... And, like, very, like, intimidating and tall. Yeah. So, replace the head of a wolf with a mouse. That's literally what it looks like.
Again. So, instead he's like, "What's happening?" Instead of, like, howling on the moon, he just goes, "Squeak."
I always thought...
Do you even squeak, bro?
Where's
the cheese?
I feel like the worst one would be, though, like, a duck. Like, and he doesn't know it. He's just like, changing! My body!
Quack!
Quack! Like, he's not gonna kill anyone. He's just gonna bring it to a lot of people's houses and eat all their bread.
I would rather be a duck than a chicken. Like, he's just like, "Oh my God!" And, just, and then, like, Hey, who's that over there? Oh, that's Jim over there clucking. Just give him some corn.
He's never really been a full man. He's been, ever since he's changed, he's just been so dark all the time.
Now he's just a chick.
He's one hot chick. So, but that is my only thing I want to point out is that, excuse me, is that primarily, yeah, like lycanthropes are werewolves associated with wolves, but they can be generally every other animal, and unless that's been changed or I'm wrong, feel free to call me out on that, listeners.
James.
Yeah, or our friend James, who's probably just gonna like text me at some point and be like, just so you know. And I'm like, okay.
Oh, speaking of James, so remember how I called him out on like, it was like, I think 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
It was so funny because he said, he texted me, he was like, get out of my head, Cody. And I was really confused when he texted me that. So I was just like, no. And then he texted me like, you called me out on the podcast literally as I was about to send you guys an email.
Called it.
We love you, James.
Oh man, that was funny. Yeah, we love James. He wants to do what is it, the evolution, like that's coming up at the end of this month.
I can't.
I think I can, but I don't think I can stay for the whole time. Like, because I actually do want to check this out. I'm just really bad.
I mean, I'm going to end up watching it like the next day or something like that. It's just I can't watch it the day of because I already promised them, me and Dev are going to a Halloween party.
Oh, yeah. No, I got to hit him. I got to text him back. I'm really bad with that. I'm really bad with texting people back these days. I don't know why. It's because I'm so popular now. I'm really not.
I know. It's like, I'm fairly certain you text like 4 people.
Yeah, kind of. Like, and that's really pushing it for me, too. Like, don't get me wrong, it's not like I don't like texting people, but, like, I'm, like, 27. Like, I'm not in that phase where I just want to text people and be like, LOL, how's it going? Like, we're such a bore. Boop. So, we gotta find our spot.
I think it's the persecution.
No, we already did the persecution.
Did we?
Yeah, we did that. We talked about Peter Stump.
Oh, yeah.
The werewolf folklore found in Europe harks back to a common development during the Middle Ages, arising in the context of Christianization and the associated interpretation of pre-Christian mythology in Christian terms. And if you want to make that a drinking game and go back, you can take a shot for every time I said the word Christian. Their underlying common origin can be traced back to Proto-Indo-European mythology, where lycanthropy is reconstructed as an aspect of the initiation of the warrior class. This is reflected in Iron Age Europe and this is going to be a rough one, the Tierkrieger. Oh wow, I actually did it pretty good. Go me. Depictions from the Germanic sphere, among others. The standard comparative overview of this aspect of Indo-European mythology is McCone in 1987. Such transformations of men into wolves in pagan cult were associated with the devil from the early medieval perspective.
Before we move on, I kind of want to touch back on something. I think it's kind of weird that there were actually like werewolf trials, just like the witch trials,
yeah,
and stuff like that. But you never really hear about that.
Well, I mean, it did say it was marginal.
I know. But still, like, can you imagine? Like, she's a witch. I'm not a witch. She's a werewolf.
See,
like, you know, there's like one person like in the background. It's like she doesn't shave. She's a werewolf.
Well, and I mean, I'm hoping that's not made up because, to be fair, I really delved into like Wikipedia for this one, and so just because. Like, that seemed to have the best resources without having to go to a library at, like, 12 at night.
Yeah.
Which you can't do. Anyways, but that just, so, that's interesting because it's like, so, when it comes to, like, the Salem witch trials, they were generally weren't fully witches. It was more so women who disagreed with the society around them.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And I'm not saying
just went, she's a witch.
And to be fair, I'm not saying like pagans or Wiccans don't exist. That's not what I'm saying. Like, I'm just saying that's generally been the misconception is that whenever like a woman would just kind of like stand up for herself or be independent, they would look at her and be like, "You're a witch," and that's how it was. And so I'm kind of wondering like, what was like the equivalent for like werewolves.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, because like I was thinking about that too, because like when you think about also those witch trials, it was a lot of them was just like a man accusing a witch or a woman of a witch. So like some of them was also like the guy was having an affair.
Yeah.
And he didn't want his wife to know, so he accused the chick he was having
she
an
put
affair
a
with.
charm on me.
Yeah, she's a witch. I had no control. And then in the back of his head, he's just like,
like, could you imagine if that shit worked today for like dudes who like cheat or like women who cheat? Be like, I wasn't in control. They put a spell on me. Like,
I mean, it kind of still does.
We just blame it on liquor and drugs now.
Yeah, like, kind of still does happen. Like...
Yeah, but like, can you imagine that now? Like, just like on Facebook, be like Jared cheated on me, that piece of shit, and then Jared comments on there and be like, Susan put a spell on me, okay? like we all know exists. Like,
I know.
Like, but I just wonder what I'm like. How would people think that people are just werewolves? And I'm wondering if it's just kind of like a dude who was really fucked up and was just a cannibal, like, and just ate people, and he's like, oh, he's obviously a werewolf, or like, I think
back then it was mostly them eating. Like some dude probably got really drunk. He's like, man, I really want some chicken,
right? And
just killed the livestock, and they're like, he's a werewolf.
Well, and this is all speculation. This isn't like me referencing anything. Yeah. So I'm wondering if, because back then, like medicine and like mental health and that stuff, everything was kind of like associated with it being possession or like dark magic or something like that. And so I'm wondering if back then, if like, and again, like this isn't me making a joke. This is just pure speculation. I'm wondering if it was someone who was struggling with autism or something of that nature, and was someone who was on a severe level and would bite, and like that is part of autism, is that sometimes they will just bite, and like I'm really trying not to make this as like detached, like them, I'm trying to be very careful with how I pick my words here, but I'm wondering if that was a case where someone just bit someone because they're not because they're different mentally, instead of being like, oh, this person's different mentally, they're like, oh, it's a werewolf. Yeah. Like, I'm wondering if maybe that also kind of happened too. I'm not sure. It's just really kind of interesting because, like they said, it's, in the research is that it's marginal. So yeah. A few references to men changing into wolves are found in ancient Greek literature and mythology. Herodotus, in his histories, wrote that the Nuari, a tribe he places to the northeast of Scythia, were all transformed into wolves once every year for several days, and then changed back into their human shape.
In Greek mythology,
I'm moving it up for you so you can see.
It's literally right here. You moved it for nothing. In Greek mythology, there is a story of an Arcadian king called Lycaon.
Or I think it's Lycaon.
Lycaon, who tested Zeus. Who tested Zeus by serving him. Oh my God, her serving him a dish of his slaughtered and dismembered son to see if Zeus was really all-knowing. As punishment for his trickery, Zeus transformed Lewis, his name is Lewis now, into a wolf and killed his 50 sons by lightning bolts, but supposedly revived Lycaon's son Nyctimus, who the king had slaughtered. 19th century Gothic horror stories drew on previous folklore and legend to present the theme of the werewolf in a new fictional form. An early example is Hughes's The Werewolf by Sutherland Menzies, published in 1838, and another, Wagner the Werewolf by G.W.M. Reynolds. I'm going to let you...
You're welcome.
Okay. We find the classic subject of a man who, although a kind-hearted man himself, accepts a deal with the devil to become a werewolf for 18 months, accompanying Dr. Faustus and killing humans, in exchange for youth and wealth. The Man Wolf, 1831, by Leech Ritchie, yields the werewolf in an 11th century setting where Catherine Crowe penned what is believed to be the first werewolf short story by a woman, A Study of a Werewolf. 1846. Other werewolf stories of this period include The Wolf Leader in 1857 by Alexander Dumas and Hugues Le Loup in 1869 by Erckman Chatrian. Is it Chitari?
The 20th century saw an explosion of werewolf short stories and novels published in both England and America. The famed English supernatural story writer Algernon Blackwood wrote a number of werewolf short stories. These often had an occult aspect to them. American pulp magazines of the 1920 to 1950s, such as Weird Tales, include many werewolf tales written by such authors as H. Warner Moon, C. Bury Quinn, and Manly, which is probably the most manly name ever, Wade Wellman. Robert E. Howard made his own contribution to the genre in Wolfshed. In cinema during the silent era... Wolfshed. In cinema during the silent era, werewolves were portrayed in canine form in such films as The Werewolf in 1913 and Wolfblood in 1925. The first feature film to portray an anthropomorphic werewolf was Werewolf of London in 1935, not to be confused with the 1981 film of a similar title, establishing the canon that the werewolf always kills what he loves most. The main werewolf of this film was a dapper London scientist who retained some of his style and most of his human features after his transformation.
Lon Chaney Jr. himself became somewhat typecast as the Wolfman and reprised his role in several sequels for Universal Studios. In these films, the werewolf lore of the first film was clarified in Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman 1943. It is firmly established that the Wolfman is revived at every full moon. In The House of Frankenstein 1944, silver bullets are used for the first time to dispatch him. Further sequels were The House of Dracula 1945 and the parodic Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein 1948.
So, werewolves are like what we talked about during our live recording, with them mostly being kind of, creatures of tragedy, really.
Yep.
I mean, with Lycaon, or in this case, Lewis. Which, by the way, of course, in a Greek mythological story, he would feed Zeus his own dead children. So I mean, whatever. That's normal. And then Zeus is like, well, now you're a wolf forever. Which...
Well, I mean, Zeus is kind of a douchebag anyway, so he probably kind of had...
I mean, no, Zeus has it coming. Him just kind of sleeping with women without their consent, kind of
I mean, he turned into a goose and raped someone.
Oh my god, I actually talking about... So that reminds me, when I was listening back to, our episode of Lore of the Dagon, the Lore of Dagon, when David was talking about how... mermaids came to be in Greek mythology was because of Poseidon had sex with fish, I think it was, or fish-like creatures, and Zeus had sex with women. It just, I don't know why, but when I was listening to that, I just had this really funny image of just Zeus coming in like a bro and be like, dude, bagged 5 more tonight, man, sweet ass honeys, boom boom boom, smashed them. And I feel Poseidon's just kind of there with glasses and Dorky, Zeus, it's not really nice for you to talk about women like that. And Zeus is whatever, virgin fig, and then being very bro overly aggressive. And then, Poseidon's yeah, well, I can have sex too if I want. And then, Zeus is no, you can't. And then, Poseidon's just yeah, I'll show you. And he's I'll have sex with something better than women. And then, thanks, fish are better. It's just he's see, Zeus, this is the salmon. Yeah, take that, Zeus. Take that. And then the salmon's just, in shock the entire time, boo! And now we got mermaids. That's just the image that went into my head. I don't know why. It's just the funniest thing ever to me. And then, Hades is just you're both fucking stupid.
Yeah, I'm gonna go have sex with this dead person.
I hate this fucking family.
Yeah, I'm glad I live down here, away from you.
God, I hate, fuck this family reunion. I'm out of here.
Come on, Persephone.
And then Athena's just that's normal.
That's Zeus.
Zeus. Oh man.
Gross.
That's where my mind goes. But no, I I always thought werewolves were a bit cooler than like vampires, even though like vampires, and I don't know why. Like maybe it's just because like they're wolves and like wolves are just generally like badass. Like in general,
that's how it was for me. Well, like I think I had touched on it in our live recording, but I always liked werewolves better just because like. I don't know. Vampires always pissed me off because they're like, they've lived for thousands of years and they're all rich and snooty and shit like that.
Yeah.
I think and like, they know they're on the top of the food chain because they eat people.
Right.
But like, just the way they carry themselves in a sense, and like then they look down on werewolves.
It's
and,
like they're more condescending.
Yeah, and then like okay, so like in Underworld and stuff like that, you see like the werewolves are just struggling to live, like and just get by in life and stuff like that. The lichens, because that's what they call them in Underworld, and yeah, vampires are like all these rich assholes, and they're like, we got to hunt them down and kill them all. It's like they're literally just trying to live, and it's like I sympathized more with them because like they're poor. They're like just trying to get by and just live life the way they can and stuff like that. And they're like, we got to kill them all. And it's like, fuck you, rich motherfuckers. And yet you're supposed to root for the vampires. Like, fuck you.
Well, I think just like adding on to that is just that I feel like when it comes to like horror literature, like it's easier to like relate to a werewolf as a vampire because it's like what else I brought up during live recordings, like vampires lived all this these centuries upon centuries can amass about this amount of wealth, and so there's like a different percentage in a population that can relate to being rich, being more wealthy, as there's a larger percentage that can associate with more being struggling to get by with what you're just talking about. And I feel like when vampires become vampires is that it's more of a choice, like they are more proud of it, and it's where people become werewolves based off a tragedy or attack or by accident, or as like the research says, like, or a curse, and so like that's kind of like how I look at it, is that werewolves tend to be more of a honorable, rebellious nature, where it's like vampires are more of a condescending hierarchy nature, where it's I mean, and like you kind of like see that in every like iteration of werewolves too. Like I mean
look at the most recent Wolfman, with Benicio del Toro and oh my god, I can't believe I'm forgetting his name.
Anthony
Hopkins. Like the other thing with werewolves that you can relate to them is like they don't get to live thousands, hundreds of years. Like they live through like the person's lifespan, because Anthony Hopkins, like, he was just old.
Yeah.
But he was still the original Wolfman and stuff like that. But you see, like, Benicio del Toro's character, like, he's just, like, struggling to get by and stuff like that. And he's, like, struggling with being this Wolfman. Right. And he doesn't want to hurt his significant other, because that's what is another thing that we touched on, is that they always end up killing the one they love the most. Yeah. That's the one they hunt down.
Where it's like vampires, they kind of just, like, they can save the one they love the most. Yeah. It is more so by just turning them. Where it's like when you become a werewolf, you generally have that same choice depending on the lore that we're going with. But you're more animalistic, and so it's either you get lucky and you do infect them so they can change, or you end up eating them. Yeah. Like, because when the person becomes a werewolf, they usually don't retain a lot of their humanity. No, unless they're older and like have had more experience with it.
Yeah, like Anthony Hopkins' character. Yeah. Like, he had full control over his Wolfman character. Yeah. Like, when you watch the movie. And I think it's funny because, like, in my opinion, that's such an underrated movie.
I think the biggest thing that hurts it is that it's a slow movie.
They wanted to go for more the original Wolfman. Oh yeah, because if you watch the original Wolfman movie, it's so slow.
Oh yeah. Oh, and that's the thing for like horror buffs, like people who love horror and like love the Universal monsters. That strikes a chord with us because it's like, oh, like you're paying homage to it. But people who just watch it for the first time and aren't into his horror, they're like, this is really slow. I thought there would be a lot more killing.
And it's like, but the killing that's in it is brutal. Yeah, it's like, fuck. He like literally like rips this dude's head off in the bus, and you see him slaughter all these people in the bus and stuff like that. Yeah. I was like, god damn.
like snap. So speaking of snap, I think we can now jump into our movie reviews for werewolves. And then actually we do have a creepy story that we can talk about at the end of this episode, if we want to do so. I don't know. What do you think?
I think we should just stick with our monsters this week.
I mean, we're already like 44 minutes in.
I know. That's what I'm just thinking. Like, I think with these episodes, I like sticking more to just talking about these. And then we'll use the creepy story on our next Monday episode.
Yeah, but we did get reached out to by the same person who sent us a creepy story.
Mm-hmm.
She did want to correct you on something.
What?
But we can touch into it really quick if you want.
Fine.
Okay, so before we we can just get into it afterwards.
No, correct me.
We can do it afterwards.
Do it. Just do it.
It literally has
you
nothing
already
to do
brought
with
it up.
Okay. So we got an email from a listener, and she gave us permission to use her name. Her name is Alex. Said, "Hey guys, don't be sad that I'm so far behind on your show. On the episode Monster Smash, Cody said him and his little fam feed the ducks at the lake with bread. Please stop this. This is a great article on why a few alternatives on what you can feed your local ducks. If you look up Angel Wing, add it in duck to the search engine. #stop Angel Wing. Thanks."
No.
So, no.
I'm feeding them bread.
You're not supposed to feed them bread.
I don't give a shit. They're a fucking duck.
You need to care.
No.
You need to care.
I'm still going
to It's a listener reaching out to you.
Great. Thanks, Alex. I'm still going to feed them ducks because I know who you are.
Now he's not going to feed them bread. He's going to feed them ducks.
Yeah, I'm going to feed them ducks now.
Great. Now look what you did.
Good.
He won't feed him bread anymore. He's really bad with criticisms about bread feeding.
I'm going to feed him bread.
Thank you, Alex.
If it helps, I feed him corn tortillas too.
Why? What?
Yeah.
That's more weird. It's like, it's Taco Tuesday.
Exactly.
Like, don't worry, he will stop feeding ducks the bread.
You don't know. You're not around me 24/7.
No, but I'm trying to give reassurance that you're going to stop feeding ducks bread.
No.
When you tune into the Punk Rock Horror Podcast, we're not your original type of podcast.
We feed ducks bread.
When we talk about issues, we go through it a little bit differently. After this episode, we'll continue to talk about it a little bit more. But let's get into the movie reviews. I'll talk to Cody about it. Thank you, Alex, for reaching out to us. We appreciate that.
I'm still not going to listen.
He'll listen.
No, I won't.
He will.
No, I won't.
Yes, he will.
I really won't.
So I went first last time.
Ducks rape each other, okay? They fucking deserve it.
Is that where you're going on?
Yep, that's what I'm going to go
Is that how you're justifying it?
Yep.
Oh my god.
They evolved each other to rape each other.
Well,
that's why they have a corkscrew penis.
Well, what do you want me to tell you, man?
Just saying.
Just stop feeding them bread.
No, stop telling me how to live my life.
Please stop feeding them bread.
Please stop telling me how to live my life.
Alright, that's better. Well, that was it for this episode. We're going to go home now. But thank you again, Alex, for sending us that email. You never know what kind of conversations we're going to get to out here with whatever topics you bring to our table. Maybe we'll agree on it and it'll be that at the end of it, or we're going to have an argument about bread and tortillas.
Yep. Fuck those ducks.
Anyways, so I'm pretty positive I went first last time and did a review of Dagon. Do you want to go first this time with your movie?
Sure. All right, so I did my movie on dog soldiers, mostly because like it's kind of hard to find like a really really good werewolf movie. Like I thought it was kind of surprising. Like there really isn't a whole lot of like really really good horror movies with werewolves.
I know.
Like when you think about it, like especially because like that's when you think like two of the biggest horror monsters in history, you think vampires and werewolves because they're always at odds and stuff like that. And so like I never thought it would be super hard to find a good werewolf movie or a werewolf movie anymore.
I think it's kind of like the same thing that shark movies run into, or I shouldn't just say shark movies. I should say creature features, where it's like it's easy material to make a horror movie out of something with sharp teeth and scales and or rubber skin that wants to fuck you up. And werewolves are kind of like that weird medium where you can make something terrifying out of it. But I think everyone is so used to the lore of werewolves that it makes them a little less terrifying, because it's like vampires tend to like bend their own rules in their lore. Yeah. Where it's like werewolves, they stick pretty more strict with it, which is like silver bullets, kill them, they transform during the day and at night, so on and so forth. And so I think it's kind of hard to make a terrifying movie out of that, and that's why we kind of just put him more in a sympathetic role than anything. Yeah. That's my guess, but I agree.
Still, like outside of, because like when you think werewolf movies, you always think Wolfman, American Werewolf and American Werewolf in London, and then Underworld.
and then like there's a few others that I can't give away because it's actually going to be one of my movie reviews. So
yeah. But I did Dog Soldiers. This is personally one of my favorite werewolf movies. And I think they did like werewolves kind of justice in this movie too, especially because like it does lean a little more towards like the action heavy in the horror genre. But the synopsis is a routine military exercise turns into a nightmare in the Scotland wilderness. It's directed by Neil Marshall, written by Neil Marshall. It stars Sean Pertwee, Kevin McKidd, Emma Cleesby. So going back and watching it, like I definitely know we were kind of like ragging on a little bit, but I feel like I've seen it so many times and I love this movie. It's one of those things like it's fun to rag on your own favorite movies.
Yeah.
But like I thought there was also a lot of really like, especially going back and watching it, like Alfred's in it. If anybody watches Gotham, the guy
Sean Pertwee.
Yeah, he's Alfred.
There's actually like a few like notable like
because even the
actors in this,
even the special forces guy, like he has that face. Like there was a lot of people in here that like you recognize their face.
Liam Cunningham.
Yeah, Liam Cunningham.
Because he plays I think he plays like a pretty prominent role in Game of Thrones.
Yeah, he's
and then
what's his name? He was the pirate dude.
Oh, I don't know.
That took care of the little girl.
It's like the funny thing about Game of Thrones is that you kind of forget everyone's name except for the ones that are like
he's
super
one of the,
simple, like
yeah.
Jon Snow. Like that's easy.
Yeah, he lost his fingers with the dragon's breath explosion in that first big war where Tyrion actually shows that Tyrion can be cool.
Yeah.
Like besides just drinking and know things.
And then for all of our Grey's Anatomy fans out there, Kevin McKidd's in this, which is one of like the characters from Grey's Anatomy.
I don't know.
Well, I mean, the only reason I know
is he one of the mixed steamies or whatever?
I maybe. The only reason I know this because I did watch some Grey's Anatomy because there's one hilarious episode where like they have a bomb in like the hospital and like it's the dumbest transition ever because like I think Christina Ricci like is a guest appearance on it. Like I think she actually is the one that gets blown up and then like because like there's this dude that has like a bomb in his body. And like they're like it's played this like very serious scene because like it's a bomb threat, like it's a live bomb, and so it has that one song "Just Breathe" come on.
Yeah,
it's like just breathe, like right. And so like Christina Ricci's like walking out with like this bomb in her hands, it's like covered in blood, and like the song is going, "Just breathe," and like she turns out the door. He goes, just be, and like blows up, and it's the funniest fucking thing ever because it's supposed to be serious, but the transition is just so like cut dry that you can, like it's more slapstick than anything. I'm like, this show isn't a drama anymore; it's a comedy. Like I can't take anything serious in the show ever.
Fair enough.
Anyways,
back to Dog Soldiers. I seriously love this movie, especially because like. The gore is really good in this movie, like really, really good, and I think still holds up even from 2002.
And I watched it with you. I liked it.
Yeah, the gore holds up. The werewolf costumes are really good. Like, and I think what I like about the werewolves in this movie is that they're even though they're kind of lanky, they're still like stacked and they're huge. They're like 7 foot, 8 foot tall werewolves.
Yeah, you actually get to see them.
And they're super menacing, and you do kind of see them a little early on in the movie, but like it doesn't straight up show you what they look like until like a super intense scene in the movie.
Yeah.
Like the whole hulking figure. But like, and another one of my like pros, like, so when you see, because like if it's it's like the military and stuff like that, but like when you see in horror movies, there really isn't like a whole lot of good camaraderie between the platoons. Like even when they're like these are my brothers and we're so close and tight knit and awesome together and like I'd do anything for them. And like in some movies, like you don't see that. You don't really feel the connection between them all.
Right.
And in this one, like you feel a connection with the platoon like right off the back.
Yeah.
Like they're all just like busting each other's balls. Like there's not a whole lot of backstory on each one of them. Like you definitely can tell like each one like has their own thing.
Yeah.
But they all feed off each other really, really well. Yeah. So that was one of like my biggest pros for this movie, was because like you actually like start caring for the military like characters because you see that each one of them has their own thing and they want to like
they're not just cannon fodder.
Yeah, and then like I said, the gore is really good. One thing in the very beginning that kind of bugged me, like I didn't think it was really necessary, is there's this small time jump. And so you see the first kill in the movie, and it's really good, it's intense, and you're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
And then and he goes 2 hours earlier, and then you meet the main protagonist, because like and like in my head I'm like, there was no real need for that time jump, because I was thinking to myself, I was like, okay, maybe that has like some significance. And then you do find out like why the special ops people are actually there. Like you end up finding like that shows why. But at the same time, I was just like, there was no real need to show the time jump.
Right.
Like, and just that one thing is like 2 hours earlier. And now to meet your main character. I was like, there was no point. You could have just done without that. Let's see. Oh, and so there's this. One of my other cons is that there's this part where the wolves, they get picked up by the main girl of the movie, the token girl.
In this case, because there's literally like one girl.
Yeah, and she picks them up, and then they get to the house where the rest of the movie takes place and everything, and then they're at the house literally like, I would say probably like maybe in movie an hour before they're like, all right, we need to leave, and they go out front, and the car is literally out front of the house, like not maybe like 20 feet away from the front door, and it shows the engine got torn to shit and everything. I was like, no one heard that? Like 20 feet away, you don't hear the wolves tearing the shit up out of the car. Like there's no silent way you can like destroy metal.
Yeah.
So I was like, that's one thing that kind of bugged me about it. I was just
it must have been just a bird.
It was just a bird. That's all. Let's see. Oh, and there's another part like later on in the movie where they're trying to make a breakthrough, and one of the guys, it's a semi spoiler. I'm not saying who, because like that's the point. Is like I'm not like one of the people who dies. They hotwire a truck, and then they start driving in it. But at one point, you see him driving in reverse, and then he pulls up to the house, and he has to back the truck up to the front door so they all can hop into the back of the car.
Right.
But then all of a sudden, there's this werewolf in the back of the car. He didn't see that when he was driving backwards, looking back. Like, it's a 8-foot tall fucking furry monster, and he doesn't see it in the beginning. I'm just like, okay. It's not like the wolf just all of a sudden like went, whoop, and just jumped into the back of the car like at random moment.
He's just like standing there, not moving, like.
Yeah, it's pretty much he was draxing it. Like, if I stay completely still, you can't see me. Other than that, like, I didn't have a whole lot of cons. Just because I love this movie so much. And I was really trying to, like, actually pick it apart. But I couldn't. Because it's a movie that, like, it doesn't take itself too seriously. Like, you can tell, like, it was kind of made for B-movie-esque stuff. One thing that, like, one of my WTF moments was that, like, they started talking about Little Red Riding Hood.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's kind of funny. Like, Little Red Riding Hood, big bad wolf. Yeah.
On the nose.
Yeah, and they never even saw the wolves or anything. And then another really cool effect that they do is, so there's points where you see from the wolf's point of view. Like, it's an first person point of view from the wolf's eyes. And it's all in black and white. And
I remember what scene you're talking about.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, like, because it's known dogs see in black and white.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't really think about that.
I was like, that's pretty smart. I was like, that's kind of cool. Let's see. Oh, actually, there was one more con. So this pissed me off about the girl. Because, like, she's fighting along with these soldiers and stuff. And literally at one point, she's like, I know how to kill. And they interrupt her. She never brings it up again.
Like, she knows how to kill the werewolves?
Yeah, she knows how. She was about to say, I know how to kill the werewolves. But, like, they're freaking out because one of the platoon leaders injured. And they're trying to, like, stabilize him and get him fixed up and stuff. And he interrupts her, like, and he wasn't even he didn't even tell her to shut up, nothing. He interrupts her, like, we need to get him up here so we can fix him. Right. And, like, that's how he interrupts her, and then she just never brings it up again. Like, it makes sense near the end, but at the same time, like, I was just like, what the... Really? You're just going to, like, somewhat say it instead of, like, when everything's calm and they're trying to talk about how to kill the werewolves, you're not going to bring it up again?
Like, giving us blue balls with how to save the day here.
Yeah, because, like, it was very small, because I had never caught it before until, like, this time when she's like, wait, I know how to kill, and she was about to say, I know how to kill the werewolves, but they're like, no, we got to help him out. We got to save our sergeant. It was just like, oh well, fine, fuck me then. Like that's how she like acted for a second. I was like, but you literally helped with the surgery. Like
it'd probably help with the scene, like, you know, after the surgery, like, hey, a little bit ago you were saying you know how to kill the werewolves. Do you mind touching back on that?
Well, like I could understand them not hearing her at first because like it was the main character Coop.
Yeah.
And it was because he was like focused on his sergeant who was screaming bloody murder because his guts are hanging out of him. I know, but like
drama queen.
But like it just bugged me that she never brought that up again. So it's like why even have her like about to say it when even if it wasn't like someone was being an asshole to her, it was just like she just decided, you know what, fuck it, I'm just not gonna say it anymore.
Yeah, way to be just rude. I was talking.
Yeah. And then I thought all the actors actually were really good in this movie. Like there was just really good chemistry with them all. And then like what was kind of cool is like it, you know, if you know about werewolf lore, you know it takes silver to kill werewolf and stuff. And so like they're emptying all their rounds into these wolves and nothing's working. And it's just like, god damn, like
right.
I thought it was really cool because like they even bring it up. They're like, how can we not kill these things? And like another thing that bugs me is like it happens in every movie.
Is that so, I know what you're talking about.
Where they're no matter what movie when it deals with monsters and stuff like that, they see the monster. They just literally fought the werewolves, but then they're all still like they're not werewolves. And it's like, you literally just saw it.
That's a con I even hold towards like a lot of zombie movies too, because I hate it when they, or even vampire movies, like when they're
all
just
of
like,
it. Yeah. Every monster movie, they're always like, no, that's not the monster. It's like, you literally just saw it. Like, and she's even, and like the girl in the movie, the entire time, she's like, you literally just pumped that one werewolf with a shotgun in the face.
Yeah.
Like, you just shot it, and it did nothing.
Like, you could understand more if, like, it was set, like, in the 1800s, right? But, like, when, now in the 2000s, more modern age, like when there's technology, like, people probably have heard of vampires and werewolves by now. Like, who goes like, werewolf, what's that?
Well, they didn't do that. They weren't questioning what they were. It just bugs me when those, like, you literally just saw what it was, and then you're still questioning if that werewolves are real. It's like, you just fucking saw the werewolf.
Yeah, like, if it didn't go down with a full buckshot, you know.
Right in the face.
I think we could finally, you know, just accept that these things exist.
Mm-hmm. And then, one of my WTF moments, I thought it was so fucking funny. Because I didn't really understand it the first time I saw it, but there's this part where this dude's like shooting this werewolf with a shotgun. And he gets too close to the window, and the fucking werewolf grabs the shotgun out of his hands. I know what scene
you're talking about.
And then shoots back at him. And he's just like, oh shit. And he like dives, and you see the shotgun shot, and then the werewolf throws the shotgun back in, like, take your toy, bitch. I laughed so hard at that because it was so great.
That scene was hilarious. It's so, because it happened so quick.
Yeah.
And it's like during such a chaotic like shot, and it's so, but like once you notice it, he's just like,
boo. Another cool thing that I liked about this movie is that it does like plant like hidden seeds. Like, you know, there's like the shady business with Sergeant Ryan.
Yeah.
He's like the titular bad military guy that everyone hates. And he's like, he hides the information on why he's there, and like he ends up telling him what, like, he knew about the werewolves and stuff like that.
Right.
And stuff like, but like,
you know,
one thing that I actually liked is that the werewolves were smart in this movie. Like,
pack mentality.
They actually bring that up in there. They're like, they use pack mentality and stuff, like, just like your platoon. Like, you think of ways how you're going to use numbers to your advantage. That's what they're doing. For instance, like, the bum rushing of them and making them use up all their ammo.
Yeah.
And then also, like, destroying the cars and then surrounding them and stuff like that. Like, putting them in a pretty much a pinch point.
Yeah.
It's like, they were really smart, and I like that. Like, I really like when they actually use, when they do that in horror movies. Like, they actually make them
like, really
smart.
They really delve into the lore of, like, what makes a werewolf, or like, what makes
well,
the
just not that,
creature.
just like actually making the creature smart.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
because it's not a dumb beast.
Yeah. And so that's one of the biggest things that I really liked about this movie. One thing that I was really sad is you never really see a full transformation, and I get it because like it looked like this movie is like actually semi low budget.
Yeah.
So it's like it's not like they can show a full transformation, but like that was one thing that I kind of wished happened. One thing that I did like is like the two people that got injured by the werewolves but didn't die, like they start changing into them. I thought that was really cool because like it actually shows them like they're like literally knocking on death's door, and then like slowly throughout the movie they get better, and you're like, oh shit,
shoot him.
And I actually I did like the twist at the end. It kind of made sense. I'm not gonna spoil it just because I think if you love werewolf movies, I definitely think you should see this movie.
Yeah.
Like, it's a fun, like, popcorn movie. Like, it really is just, like, fun action and horror, like, meshed together. Especially if, like, you like UK films, because this was an English film, even though everyone's Scottish. Except for a couple. No, they're all English. Never mind. No, they're all English, so, like...
I think maybe there's one Scottish dude, right?
I don't remember. I think
Either
they're
way.
Actually English.
Well, no, there are not Americans, so, I mean, there's that.
But, like, it's a really good movie, and if you like werewolf movies, this is definitely one that you should see. It's because, like, it actually shows, like, the brutal nature of werewolves, but also, like, that they're smart. Like, it touches on things that you wouldn't expect from, like, a military-esque movie also. Yeah, no, this has always been one of my favorite horror movies. And, like, the funny thing about it is, like, I actually first saw this on the Sci-Fi Channel.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I need to find this movie. And it took me, like, years to hunt down a copy of this movie. And I was so excited when I finally found it at Walmart. I was like, it's mine. I finally have this movie.
Oh, glorious.
Because I just remember how much I liked it. Because I was like, you know, I've always been a fan of werewolves, and I've never seen a really, really good werewolf movie outside of American Werewolf in London.
Right.
Which, since we're talking about werewolves, I have to bring up, that still has the best transformation into a werewolf, even now. Like, that entire scene is, like, the best thing. I know we talked about it in, actually, at our live show. Yeah. Like, I still want to bring up, like, that is the best transformation in any, like, horror movie with a person turning into a werewolf. Yeah. There's no CG, no nothing, and it holds up great today.
Yeah, it's like, fantastic. See, practical effects have their magic.
Seriously, and especially because, like, I'm going to rag on Twilight again, but because, like, they just go, twirl, and then they're a werewolf. I'm like, fuck that. Like, it's supposed to be a painful thing. Like, and that's what they do.
Somersault.
Yeah, and that's what they kind of do. They touch on in this movie, like, when two of the characters who got infected, when they're, like, slowly turning into the werewolf or whatever, you see the pain in their eyes. Like, they're struggling, it's hurting, because it's like their bones are breaking and extending and like morphing into a wolf. Like, it's not just a twirl, I'm a giant wolf now. It's like, it's fucking painful. Like, when you think about it.
And I will actually argue that those aren't werewolves, those are shapeshifters.
They are shapeshifters.
I will argue that.
That's why they can twirl.
That's for another episode, another day.
Like a fairy.
But, like, if we're going to, like, rag on Twilight, that's going to be a whole episode in its own. We're just going to have to try to, like, not do that during the regular episode, because that's, like, a hole that we're not going to get out for a long time. So.
Not yet. But yeah, so I definitely recommend it. If you like werewolf movies, definitely check this one out. Dog Soldiers is one of my favorite werewolf movies, hands down in my top 3. So some facts. One of the soldiers in this movie is called Bruce Campbell, a reference to the Evil Dead.
I love Evil Dead.
Yeah, which is pretty cool. Because Bruce Campbell is the actor who portrayed its hero Ash, and the film seems to have partially inspired the plot of Dog Soldiers. Boom. Jason Statham was originally the top runner for playing the part of Cooper, but he had to back down at the last minute to do John Carpenter's Ghosts of Mars. I bet he regrets that, because no one talks about Ghosts of Mars.
We might talk about it.
No one talks about it. I didn't even remember that movie.
Do a whole episode.
And I like Jason Statham movies.
Do a whole episode focused on horror on Mars.
Yeah. Oh, this is actually cool. And Simon Pegg was offered a part in the film, but turned it down after Edgar Wright asked him to save his first horror movie role for Shaun of the Dead. That's cool. I read that and
I was like, oh man, that's so funny. Can I throw out one?
Mm-hmm.
In the scene where Wells asks Cooper to knock him out, Kevin McKidd, Cooper, throws a stage punch the first time, but misjudges the distance of the second punch and catches Sean Pertwee's Wells on the nose. Pertwee didn't feel the punch, however, as he really was drunk for the scene.
That's great.
Because in that scene, like, that's where they're doing surgery on him, and he has him, like, drink whiskey to, like, numb the pain. And so, like, knowing that he actually got drunk off whiskey in that scene and got punched in the face, I'm just like, that makes this movie even 10 times more badass.
Yeah. Oh, I have to throw this one out. The piece that Megan plays on the piano halfway through the film is Debussy's Clair de Lune, roughly translate as Moonbeam. The link is obvious, but is possibly also a nod to an American Werewolf in London, the soundtrack of which consisted purely of songs with moon in the title.
I won't say the whole quote, but I'll just pick apart really quick. Is that so? Apparently, like the people involved in the filming used very little CG because they felt like CG was being overused, and took a lot of the effect off what would be like the most terrifying parts of the werewolves, and that's why the werewolves in the movie are animatronics and bodysuits with stilts.
Oh, that's dope.
So.
Oh, hold on, one more. And Sean Pertwee's character, Sergeant Harry G. Wells, is named after H.G. Wells, who is one of the favorite writer-directors of Neil Harshman's favorite authors. He's the author, yeah.
So, that's dope.
Yeah, that's really cool.
So there you have it. Dog Soldiers came down in 2002. Check it out, everyone.
Yeah.
Definitely worth your time. All right, and then we'll just go ahead and jump into mine now. So when we did this, like, I was struggling. It was kind of the same thing like we were talking about with mermaids, is that like it's hard to find really good werewolf ones, except I remembered a trilogy of werewolf movies that I watched on IFC way back in like the mid 2000s, like when IFC was really good with their horror movies at midnight, right? And so what I decided to do was look up this one movie that I loved, which is called Ginger Snaps. So, which, fun fact, well, not much of a fact, is when, like, actually, I talked to my mom about, like, we were just talking on the phone, and she was asking me, like, what I was going to be doing the day that I did my movie review, and I was like, oh, yeah, I'm just going to be reviewing this movie called Ginger Snaps, and she's just like, Ginger Snaps? That sounds like a porno. And I'm just like, what? No, I'm like, Mom, if anything, it sounds like a cookie. Why do you think it sounds like a porno? And she's like, I don't know where my head's been these days. And I'm like... Okay. Whatever, Mom. Anyway, so Ginger Snaps came out in 2000, and its synopsis is: two death-obsessed sisters, outcast in their suburban neighborhood, must deal with the tragic consequences when one of them is bitten by a deadly werewolf. Directed by John Fawcett, written by Karen Walton, John Fawcett, excuse me, and Karen Walton again, and stars Emily Perkins, Catherine Isabel, and Chris Lemche, which I will say both Emily Perkins and Catherine Isabel are very underappreciated actresses. So Catherine Isabel was also the protagonist in American Mary.
Oh, so, okay.
Which is also a very underground horror flick, and that's a great movie. I just wanted to bring that up. Mm-hmm. So, and I'm the same way with you with this movie, like how you are with Dog Soldiers. Dag soldiers. Doggo soldiers. What if that was the whole thing the whole time? It's like you see the werewolf the first time in Dog Soldiers, and like right when it's about to war it goes, Bork!
Aw, heck.
You're doing me a heck. You're doing me a bamboozle. So, going into this, you know, I love Ginger Snaps. It's gory up front right away. So, and you know me, man, when it comes to, like, gore, like, I love it when they don't hold back and they actually just, like, throw it in your face right away. And so, it's in the beginning of the movie, where I'm going to make this a con at the same time now, is that the gore that they show is a half-eaten dog. So, and I'll get into that later on as to why, but... It's a con and a pro because it doesn't hold back on the gore, but it's a dead dog. So I have to make it the con because it's a dead dog. Also, another pro is that it's probably one of the more creative intros that I've ever seen to a horror movie. So how the synopsis says, you know, with the sisters being death obsessed. Mm-hmm. So they're working on, it doesn't make this clear right away. You really get the idea that they're wanting to commit suicide. Yeah. But really it's just that they're doing a class project. Mm-hmm. And so they're making, like, it's this really weird, like, dark class project of taking photos of crime scenes of people who have died, and, like, they're taking pictures of each other. So, like, they'll have pictures of, you know, them hanging themselves, or, like, one of the sisters falling on a fence and, like, the fence, you know, came through her body. Yeah. Or one of the sisters gets run over by a lawnmower, or even they, like, have a tea party with bleach. Like, and so, like, that's the whole intro of introducing the movie and the actors, is showing the photos of them working on their class project of like different scenarios of dying and like death. And so I made, as gruesome and as macabre as it is, it's a horror movie, and so I made it a pro because it's creative. Because I hate intros that just like drag, and it's just like a panoramic scene of it slowly closing in like on a neighborhood or something like that.
Yeah.
Like I hate it when it's just a drag. Like it's just a long drag. So the intro to this movie is really it's good. It's entertaining to watch. And this definitely has that classic IFC Midnight Monster movie feel. Like you could even see this movie like on Tales from the Crypt.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and that's what I love about it, because even like on with Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, like you can see this being a movie that they would feature.
Yeah.
And so it brings back that feel, that nostalgic feel of like classic Midnight Monster movies. And the creature effects in this movie are fantastic. So it focuses on Ginger, who is becoming a werewolf, and throughout the movie, she's slowly transforming. So she's like growing fur in certain places, and like her teeth are getting a little longer. She's starting to get claws where her nails are, and it's just really good creature effects, like for the practical effects that it is. And when you finally see some of the werewolves, they're actually like a full modeled werewolf, and it's actually really good because it's foaming from the mouth, drooling, blood and guts, and like it's dope, because what they do that you don't see a lot of werewolf movies do is that they retain some of their human characteristics. So like for the female werewolves in this movie, they still like have breasts, like, but they're obviously deformed because they're werewolves. Yeah, but like they like it. I just like that attention to detail for it, because when you see a lot of werewolves, they all just kind of blend together. Yeah, they all look the same, but like this one, like some of them, the werewolves in this one are white, some of them are gray, some of them have boobs, some of them don't. So that's what I love about that. Also, this challenges a lot of the mythos of lichens and werewolves throughout the movie. So because Bridget, Ginger's sister, is wanting to cure Ginger, so they're like, okay, well, we can't use silver. What can we do? So she teams up with like the local drug dealer, which is always a mainstay in horror films for some reason. Yep. And he's like, oh, we can use wolfsbane, and maybe that'll work to like reverse the whole changing process. And so you don't really see that in like horror movies with werewolves, because usually you see like, oh, you have to kill the top dog, you know, the top werewolf, or you have to reverse the curse, or you have to do a chant. You never see like, oh, we can just cut this common variety of like spring flower, and maybe inject it and maybe it'll work. And so I like that it really challenges the mythos of lichens, because like how we talked about with vampires kind of bend their own lore. Yeah, you don't see that a lot with werewolves, and this movie does that. It bends the lore a little bit. It changes it a little bit. Okay, and so that's what I love about it. It also really challenged you to like our protagonist, which is Bridget in this case, because she's an angry teenager, and she's quiet, and there's no real reason to like her, except that she just wants to save her sister. And so it challenges you to like her and support her. And so I like it when it actually makes you want to challenge it, and it's not just like, oh, I'm just a goody two-shoe all the time, you know? Yeah. And then, you know, there's the subtle changes for Ginger throughout the movie as she's changing into a wolf. Like her mentality changes. She has more wolf-like instincts and brings them into her everyday life. So like originally she's like very quiet, more introverted, and then as she's becoming more wolf-like, she, you know, becomes more territorial and is ovulating and wants to mate. And so like it sticks with that like actual changing of like a werewolf, how like it would change the person's like personality. Yeah, you know, like because if it's a male, like they would get more aggressive. Yeah. And so that's what I loved about it, where she gets more protective instincts, because when there's a scene where like Bridget gets pushed down during like gym, and so like Ginger snaps and like attacks like the girl who pushed Bridget down. She's like, fuck you, and like punches her face in. Like, I'm like, dope, sweet. Also,
don't you touch my sister.
Exactly. And there's a point where the mom of the girls catches on that something's wrong with her daughter. She doesn't know what, but something's wrong, because Ginger starts murdering people and starts murdering animals in this movie. Yeah. And so the mom finally catches on to it, because she's in the backyard with her husband raking and like just doing landscaping work, and like the husband finds 2 fingers 2 severed fingers. And mom's like, oh, don't freak out. That's just part of one of the girls' projects. But, like, the mom, like, catches on, like, these are real fingers. And so she, like, meets up with her daughter Bridget, and she's like, go get your sister Ginger. Like, and Bridget realizes that her mom knows something's going on. Mm-hmm. And she's like, what are you going to do? And she's like, I don't care what we have to do. If anything, we'll just burn down the house and move somewhere else. And she's like, what about Dad? And like, she's like, Dad can just blame me. I don't care. And I loved that because I'm glad the mom is just as fucked up as like the girls, because like during this whole movie, she's trying to be like better. Like she's trying to be a good role model, but she lets you in and realizes that she's just as fucked up and that she's there for her daughter. She wants to save them. And so I just love seeing that. Going into my cons though, so there's a point in this movie where like they're on the like Ginger and her sister are in gym class and they're playing like cricket, like on a field, and Bridget gets pushed down by one of the bully girls, the girls who's a bully, and like pushes her into the carcass of a dead dog. And I made that a con because how did no one notice until then that there's just a corpse of a dead fucking dog on a field where a bunch of kids are playing? Like, I mean, they're teenagers, but like the whole time, like they're all just like playing like nothing's a big deal. Like, do just like dead corpses of dogs appear every now and then? Like,
probably they're just like, yeah,
it's fucking, it's whatever. It's this town's moniker, whatever. It's like
dead dogs.
Like, and just like, does no one notice the dead dog on the field? Like, and everyone's just playing on the field. Whatever, fuck it, I don't even care. Like, whatever.
So, until someone touches it, it doesn't exist.
Yeah, apparently, until someone gets pushed into the corpse. And so I was like, whatever. And so keep in mind, these are very angry teenagers throughout the movie, and so that attitude can get a little old here and there, where they're so pissed off at the world. And I mean,
fuck the world, man. I'm a teenager.
It's like, you understand the Cure is a moniker of my life, man. Like, you don't fucking get it, man. Like, and so like
it's a black parade.
It's a I'm not okay, I promise. Something takes a part of me.
I mean,
we've all been there.
They probably watched Twilight.
No. So the angry teenager attitude can get a little old here and there. Also, so although I love the fact that Ginger like starts having body changes throughout the movie, some of it really bothers me. So at one point, she just like grows a tail, and so that's kind of where I crossed the line a little bit, because I'm like, why would she just have a tail all the time? Because you're supposed to like grow your tail when you transform into the wolf at night, right? Like when the changing comes. And so like it just kind of bothered me that she just had a tail, because I felt like that was jumping the gun a little bit. Like, I can understand like the canine teeth growing a little bigger, or nails growing out a little more, or even just growing fur in certain places. Like, I could get that, but just the tail, I don't know. That bothered me.
That's where it crossed the line. Not the fact that she's killing things. It's
no one knows.
She gets a tail.
No one knows that she's killing things, and whatever. Like, I get it. Like, I've been there. But speaking of the nails, it bugs the shit out of me that her nails are like haggard, gross, and long, and brown, and sharp, and like no one ever asks her about her nails. No one asks Ginger like, hey, so you ever plan on clipping your nails? Like, they just kind of like accept it. And I'm like, I guess like the excuse we made, like they think it's fake nails and she's going through a phase or whatever. But like, they're really long, elongated nails. Like, they can cause some fucking damage, and no one just stops to ask.
Probably why no one stops to ask. Like, she might claw my eyes out.
It looks normal to me.
Yeah, you looking good over there, tail girl.
And my only WTF one is that, why is the drug dealer always like the sage of wisdom? Like, in every movie, because
he's woke.
Like,
hashtag woke.
Hashtag woke. Because like in the faculty, I'll let it go because Josh Hartnett is a hidden treasure that we need to appreciate more, and like he does a really good job. But like the drug dealer like guy in this movie is like a carbon copy of like Josh Hartnett's character from the faculty, and I'm just like, because he has a syringe of like chemical to inject in the monster to make them not be a monster or kill them, just like in the faculty. And I just like, why is it always the drug dealer? Like, why couldn't like Bridget do any of this research on her own? Like, I get it, her whole world's been kind of turned upside down, and she needs help, but I just, like, why is it always a drug dealer? It's just...
Because he's woke.
Because he's hashtag woke.
I'm just telling you, that's why.
He's woke, man. So, with that being said, Ginger Snaps back, and, I forget the last one in the trilogy, are all extremely solid werewolf movies, because they actually dive into a more dark, deep lore of people transforming into wolves. Like, I would kind of even put it as, like, the darker version of Teen Wolf. It's a solid werewolf movie, and it's one that definitely deserves to be more appreciated because it's fucked up. It's dark. It's a dark, fucked up movie. Mm-hmm. And it's focused on werewolves, and it's something that we talked about, is that werewolves are always put in more of a sympathetic role. Where this one, it's about pure carnage, like transforming into a wolf and just fucking shit up, and I loved it. Mm-hmm. And that's why I think it deserves so much more attention. A couple interesting facts is that director John Fawcett refused to have CGI effects in the film, opting for all the special creature effects to be done with prosthetics and makeup. Many of the day scenes had to be scheduled to be shot at night. The crew brought in a large 18 kilowatt light to flood the locations with light so it would appear to be day on film. Reportedly, the light was strong enough to be seen by aircrafts passing overhead.
Huh.
The producers searched for 6 months to find the right actresses for the roles of Ginger and Bridget, but were having no luck. Ironically, after such a long casting process, Catherine Isabel and Emily Perkins auditioned on the same day and landed both roles. And one more I'm going to point out is that, along with the coincidence of stars Catherine Isabel and Emily Perkins auditioning on the same day, the two actresses were also born in the same hospital, attended the same preschool, elementary school, and private school, and worked through the same talent agency. So they were friends from the get-go. Is there one you want to throw out?
Due to the fact that the film features teenagers in violent situations, the production had difficulty getting funding because the Columbine massacre and other school shootings had recently occurred.
I never even really thought about that.
Damn.
Wow. Also, the last one. This film was the 5th highest grossing Canadian film of 2001. So, yeah.
Canadians.
So, that was my movie review. So, that was now an hour and a half long episode, basically.
Yeah.
Of just straight up werewolves. And we hope you ghouls and gals loved it. We enjoyed talking about it. We still got to talk about the whole, like, controversy with bread with ducks. But, we'll
We're going to eat the fucking bread.
He's so upset about it. He's being so defensive about bread. It's the funniest thing ever. With that being said, we are at the end of this episode. If you like what we're doing and want to follow us and keep up with us, please like us and follow us on Facebook at Punk Horror Podcast, and our Twitter at OfficialPHP, and then
Instagram, Punk Rock Horror Podcast, hashtag PRHP.
You can find us on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, YouTube, our website, www.punkrockhorrorpodcast.com. If you want to send us any of your strange stories or band info, please send them to our email, punkrockhorrorpodcast@gmail.com. And if you want to support the show and be part of the new rewards that we're going to be coming out here soon, please go over to our Patreon, patreon.com/punkrockhorrorpodcast. You can find the links to everything below, and you can also find the links to my Instagram. If you want to follow me on Instagram, I'm at the Undead Matt. Cody still doesn't have his up. Again, it's a work in progress. One bite at a time, everyone. With that being said, podcast over.
Podcast over.
Bye.
Bye.